Okay, welcome everybody. Today we're going to do lesson 6.3 and 6.4. They're very similar lessons, and both are actually a review from grade 9 math. So our goal here is just to get through this fairly quickly, and hopefully that it'll be a refresher for most of you. Okay, so let's just jump right to page 336 here. The first little bit is using algebra tiles, and we'll do that later. So let's just jump down to this investigation here. Okay, I'm going to let you do that at home. I want you to do this part over here, but let's just jump right into it because, like I said, I think this is going to be a review for most of us. So let's just go down to a few examples here, and we can kind of get right into it. So what's our goal here? Okay, again, this whole unit talks about factoring, but the first couple lessons we've looked at factoring by removing a common factor. Okay, now if you look at our example number 5 here, the first one. Okay, if I look at all my terms here, I don't have a common factor. Okay, this first term does not have a coefficient. Well, it does. It's a 1, so that doesn't help me. The last constant here, the last term, does not have a variable, so I can't remove any common factor. So how do I factor this? Okay, well, let's first look at, if you remember last unit, we did what we did foiling. Okay, we had something like x plus 3, x plus 4. Okay, and we went and we did our foiling here. And eventually, once we FOIL everything, I'm just going to do this one quickly here. It'll be x squared plus 12, plus 7x plus 12. Okay, once you FOIL this, once you distribute this, we get a trinomial. Okay, what we're doing now. Okay, so what we're doing now is we're going from this look over here, which is a trinomial, back to our two binomials here. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, here's sort of the simple method. I'm going to say it here, and hopefully everybody remembers this from grade 9 math. So I'm going to make my two brackets because I wanted to look like this over here. And here's the sentence you want to ask yourself. Okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to put an x here and an x here because I know when I FOIL my x times x, I'm going to get x squared. Okay, that's the easy part. Now, here's how you get your numbers here. Okay, that'll go over here. So here's the question: what two numbers? So my two numbers, maybe I'll make a box for them here. Multiply to 12 and add to 8. Okay, I'll repeat that again. What two numbers multiply to 12 and add to 8? And most of the time you can do this in your head. Okay, and but if you can't, you can just write a few options down. Okay, and those options are 1 and 12, 3 and 4, or 6 and 2. Well, I can see that 6 and 2 are going to work because 6 times 2 is 12 and 6 plus 2 is 8. Okay, and there it is. So that is how you factor this trinomial. You can't remove a common factor because there isn't one. So we have to do that. It's called factoring by inspection. 6 plus x plus 6 times x plus 2. And when we do FOIL this, it will give us what we started with. Okay, go ahead and try B. I'm going to jump to C and again see if we can use that method. So I'm going to make my brackets. And I'm going to put my x and my x because that's going to give me x squared. Now, what two numbers multiply to 12 and add to negative 13? Well, this one might be tricky because if we go 1 times 12 is 13. There we go. Is 13. 2 times 6 is going to be 1 plus 12 is 13, 2 plus 6 is 8, 3 plus 4 is 7. Well, none of these add up to negative 13, So we have to do you have to be a little careful when there's negative signs, okay? Again, all you have to do is make both of these negative, okay? And let's see if that works. So your numbers are going to be -1 and -12. Okay, let's double check to see if it works. -1 times -12, that gives me +12, and -1 plus -12 gives me -13. Okay, so you have to be careful when you have negative numbers here. Okay, go ahead, try and do D, and I will go ahead and just do E really quickly here. Okay, again, make my brackets. This time it's a y, so y times y gives me y squared. And what two numbers multiply to 4 and add to 3? Well, 4, it's going to be, actually this one we won't be able to do because no two numbers multiply to 4 and add to 3. If we try 1 and 4, that gives me 5. If we try -1 and -4, that gives me -5. 2 and 2 give me 4. So unfortunately, this one is not factorable. Okay, let's try the last one over here. And you just leave it. You just say, you can't factor it. Okay, you don't have to do that one. Okay, and that's why the question says factor the following trinomials where possible. All right, let's try this one. So again, I'm going to put my x and my x. Now, what two numbers multiply to 50 and add to 27? This one we can do because 2 times 25. 2 times 25 is 50, and 2 plus 25 is 27. Okay, I'm going to do one example here. Okay, now look at these ones here. Example number 6. You can actually remove a common factor first. So in this case, I can remove the 4, and I'm left with x squared minus 8x plus 12. And now I'm going to make my brackets and go ahead and factor this trinomial. So again, I'm going to put my x and my x. What two numbers multiply to 12 and add to -8? Well, it's going to be -2 and -6 because -2 times -6 is +12, and -2 plus -6 is -8. And again, it doesn't matter where you put the 2 and the 6. Because the order of multiplication doesn't matter. Okay, go ahead and try B. I'm going to go on to the next lesson, which is way down here. Okay, it's very, it's actually identical to the last one with a few more negative signs. Okay, so this is 6.4. Go ahead and try this one. I'm going to jump into B here. Okay, what two numbers? Let me get my x's first. There we go. What two numbers multiply to -18 and add to 3? Okay, well, what two numbers multiply to -18 and add to 3? I'm going to see if I can do this one in my head. It's going to be, I get the feeling it's going to be 6 and a 3, but I just want to make sure I get my negative signs and positive signs correct. So I know it's going to be 6 and 3, but because I have a +3, I need to make the 6 positive and then -3 over here. Okay, so let's check that out. So 6 times -3 is -18, and 6 plus -3 is +3. There we go. So that works. If we had -6 and +3, it would have added to -3. So that didn't work. Okay. All right. Let me check the C over here. So again, make my brackets. This time it's an A and an A. And what two numbers multiply to -8? And add to -7. Okay, this one's going to be -8 and +1. And again, here's the little, you can go ahead and read through this over here, these couple of important points here. But let me just go ahead and summarize what that says here. If you have a negative number here, well, one of your numbers is going to be positive and one of them is going to be negative, because that's the only way to get a negative number when you multiply. So be careful of that. Okay, that's kind of the only little trick here. If it's a positive, well, then they both have to be negative or both have to be positive. All right, let's do a few examples down here. And this is, I think, the last one, so stay with me here. Okay, here we go. So A is my variable, so I'll put that down here. And now I have -27. Well, -27, I'm pretty sure it's going to be 9 and a 3. And because it's a positive 6, my 9 is going to be the positive number, and then a negative 3 over here. And again, you can check that out. 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. 9 plus negative 3 is 6. Okay, look at this one. Before you jump into this one, look at this. I can remove that 2 because it's a common factor. So I'm going to take the 2 out. I'm left with t squared minus 7t plus 10. And now I'm going to do my bracket, 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 bracket. Put my t down. Let's see. What two numbers multiply to 10 and add to negative 7? Well, I'm thinking it's going to be, both numbers have to be either positive or both negative. And because it's a negative 7, I'm thinking they both have to be negative, because how are two positive numbers going to add to a negative number? So let's just go ahead, and I think it's going to be 2 times 5. Well, 2 times 5 is 10, but 2 plus 5 is 7. Okay, 2 plus 5. What about negative 2 plus negative 5? Well, that's going to be negative 7. So there's my numbers. Okay, and both of those still multiply to 10. So it's going to be negative 2 and negative 5. Okay, let's see what we have here. Factoring. Okay, let me do some of the harder ones here. Again, you can go ahead and finish these two. I'm going to try and do one more here before we disappear. All right. Okay, so here we go. Let's do a little bit of a harder one down here. Okay, well, let's just do this one. Okay, so now I have x's and y's. Well, not to worry. Okay, it's still the same method. Bracket, 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 bracket. I'll put my x's here, x's here. Okay, 30 and 13, no problem. 3 and 10, I can see that one right away. So it's going to be plus 3 and plus 10. But how do I deal with this y? Okay, that's as simple as that, putting a y here, because let's check it out. When we FOIL, it's going to be 3y times 10y equals 30y squared. Okay, so if you do have two variables, don't forget to put the variable in the second term as well. Okay, let me do one last hard one here, and then we'll be done for the day. All right, so again, common factor. Remove that common factor. Let's get rid of that 3. All right, now 3 leaves me with a squared minus 5ab minus 252. That's going to be 84b squared. Okay, now what two numbers multiply to negative 84 and add to negative 5? This one is a little bit harder. Let me put my a's down. So you might have to do trial and error, do a few examples. But the answer, I'm pretty sure it's going to be 7 and 12. Those are my two numbers. I just have to make sure I get them positive and negative correct, because 7 times 12 is 84. Okay, my number here is negative, so I'm going to make the bigger of the two the negative number. Okay, so let me go ahead and make the 12 negative and the 7 positive. Okay, negative 12 plus 7. Let me check it. Negative 12 times 7 is negative 84, and negative 12 plus 7 is negative 5. Okay, thanks for watching, and again, go ahead and please go through these examples here, fill everything out from the top, and make sure you're, especially this table over here, if you're still not understanding, how to do this, or if you for some reason did not get this factoring last year in grade 9. Okay, so this is kind of what we're doing here. So make sure you go through all these examples here, fill it out, and then more importantly, get this table down here. If you want to work on your finding the two, if you're having a hard time finding your two numbers, go ahead and work at this table, and then make sure you highlight all your all your terms here, and that'll make you a little bit more faster when you're doing this. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.